Well, hello. My name's Andy Tidy and welcome back to another edition of Canal Hunter. Last week I showed you my collection of photographs of the old Bentley Canal, and the feedback I had from you was so overwhelmingly positive. I clearly hit a spot. And the request that came from so many was, well, could you share a photo stream of some of the other canals where you've got collections of images? Well, that's what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to go back to Tipton and I'm going to do a photo stream of the Tollend Communication Canal. Now, if the truth be told, the gritty history of this canal is as unromantic as its name. I mean, Tollend Communication Canal. It doesn't exactly grip the imagination, but this was a key element in the network of the BCN, and it's a section which was lost back in the 1950s and 60s. The Tollend Canal is in actual fact two canals built together. There's the Tipton Green Canal at the top, the Tollend Branch Canal at the bottom, and then they were all linked together. And this very short canal, less than 2 miles long, is actually a hybrid of 5 different phases of canal building. So before I show you the photos, let me give you the little history spot. Right, a little bit of context about this canal. After the main Birmingham to West Bromwich Canal had been built, the Broadwaters extension was built in 1786. And then after this had been built in 1801, the phase 1 of the Tollend Communication started, inasmuch as a short sidearm was dug to reach some new coal mines. And this was known as the Tollend Branch. It included 2 locks. Phase 2 then came a few years later, and this was then started at the top end, at the Tipton end, and a canal was dug down from the centre of Tipton, and it went down through 3 locks, and it finished at a place that we would now recognise as Watery Lane Junction, and this was the Tipton Green Canal, about 1/4 mile long. Now, phase 3 came 1 year later in 1806, when the Tipton Green branch was extended by another 3 locks going a bit further down the hill. The aim was to reach the Cotterill Farm Colliery, but it's also the site where the Horsley Ironworks grew up. Now, if you're thinking Horsley Ironworks, I kind of know that name. That's because you see the name on all of those amazing, graceful iron bridges. The company owned a colliery and decided to extend their production process into the manufacture of iron. And they had a site very close to what is now Tipton Cemetery. Initially they started by building small ships. Probably not the ideal product for Tipton, but there you go. That's what they started with. And then they switched to constructing prefabricated bridges, and this is really where they made their name. You'll find examples of their bridges all over the BCN. It's those wonderful roving cast iron bridges. They're across the BCN. You'll find them on the North Oxford, and the particularly beautiful ones in this immediate vicinity are at Bromford Junction, where you've got 2 arches close by each other. You've got the Galton Bridge, and you've got the utterly magnificent Engine Arm Aqueduct. In the end, the Horsley Ironworks outgrew its site, and so they relocated about 1 mile further up the new mainline canal, and they sat themselves on the Dixon Arm. The Dixon Arm gave them access to fresh supplies of coal and an easy access to the new communication channel. And these are some of the images that you'll see of the Dixon Arm in its very last years of decay. And so we go back to the Tollend Communication Canal. 3 years after the Tipton Green Canal was extended down to the Cotterill Colliery, they decided that they would extend the Tollend branch. So 1809 they extended the branch up the hill through another 2 locks, and they joined into the Tipton Green Canal on a right angles in junction about 2/3 of the way down. And by making this through route all the way through from Toll End at the bottom to Tipton at the top, it then became the Toll End Communication Canal. And whilst that is the end of the Toll End Communication Canal in 4 phases, there was a 5th that came in sort of on the side. Phase 5 was the construction of the new mainline canal by Thomas Telford in 1829. This new broad canal came striding across the landscape known as the Island Line, and the canal cut across the Toll End Communication Canal just below the 3rd lock down, more or less where Phase 1 finished. And so it separated out the Toll End Communication Canal into 2 parts. The lower part kept its name, Toll End Communication Canal. The upper half reverted back to Tipton Green Canal. Now, if you think that this evolution of the canal was complicated, it still complicates matters when it comes to identifying the various structures on it. Do I take the Tipton Green Canal and the Toll End Communication Canal as 2 separate canals, or do I take a view on the entirety of the Toll End Communication Canal from Tipton through down to Toll End? Well, for the purposes of simplicity, I'm taking it as the canal as built, but before the new main line arrived. So there are 10 locks 1 to 3 above the new main line, and then locks 4 to 10 below. Bear with me if this isn't your preferred way of doing it. It's just the simple way of me trying to keep tabs on where all the structures were. If we move forward a bit in time, the canal had been incredibly successful and a really useful link between the Walsall Canal at the bottom and the main lines at the top. But by 1890, the bottom end of the old Tipton Green Canal, the bit near the Horsey Ironworks, had been abandoned. And by 1902, it was just shown as an abandoned section of canal. For the rest, well, the upper section of the Tipton Green Canal was abandoned in 1960, and that became a linear pathway in 1975. And the Toll End Communication Canal closed in 1966. And Caggy's Boatyard is the last remaining stub end of the entire canal. Now, most of the photos that I can find of the Toll End Communication Canal were taken after the canal had closed and during the phase when it was being dismantled. I can find very little photographic evidence for how it used to look before then. So my apologies that this photo stream is a little downbeat, and it's a little bit like watching a dying man take his final gasp of breath and sinking beneath the waters. And for all of that, I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you at the bottom end. Well, I hope you enjoyed that virtual tour of the Tolland Communication Canal. A venerable old canal with a great history, but sadly very deficient in contemporary photos of when it was in operation. I'm constantly on the lookout for better photographs to illustrate how this used to look. So if you have any, please let me know and I'll add them into the line of photographs that I hold on the accompanying Captain Ahab's Watery Tales blog. So I hope you enjoyed this extra edition of Canal Hunter, and I'll see you soon. Happy hunting.